reflections on the postmodern Reformation. Listening to a news article today, and they were talking about the Green New Deal, and particularly what AOC brought forward, and then what Speaker Pelosi, I don't think she really remembered the name, and she called it the Green Dream. One thing that's curious that I am reflecting on is in the conversation with the Republican perspective, the Tea Party constituency in the House, the reporter, we know what AOC's point of view, we know what the organization that has helped her sponsor this bill, we understand their point of view, and frankly, their point of view is honest. It's an intellectually honest point of view. When I hear the Republican response, and I'm sorry that I'm not speaking the gentle lady's name that's a representative. I don't know or don't remember the name. The point is, she made a comment that she believes that there's a free market. She believes that it should be free market. She agrees that climate change is happening. She is not a climate denier, so that's a fact that she states. Then she makes a comment that she would like to see less regulation and allow the free market to respond. And I would simply say, in light of the 2018 release by the United Nations or by a consortium of world, like hand-picked researchers and scientists that put this study together, and my understanding is they did their very, very best to provide us with their particular range of scenarios, best case and worst case, and they actually even they weren't as optimistic. They tried not to be optimistic in the picture that they painted, and what they're finding is that the data is showing them that there's a good idea to not put rose-colored glasses on with the situation. The situation is fundamentally this. We've been advised that we have just over a decade as a human species to have a say in what happens to our Earth's climate. Because we've been having a say on what's happening to our Earth's climate for a lot longer than we care to admit. And time is running out in a way. And this is not a doomsdayer narrative. What this is just a reflection as you're moving through your day from one point to another, or just figuring out how your old friend John is doing. I want you to think about it this way. When we talk about allowing free markets to move, there's a certain kind of entitlement that I think the reason that I am not really, I don't ascribe to the Republic point of view anymore, and I ascribe to the Democratic point of view. And I tell you, I'm not particularly excited about every perspective and every position that the Democratic Party has, because I don't really know what their position is. I think there's a certain kind of, they were traumatized. I think Mitch McConnell, you did a great disservice to our nation and to President Obama and his administration and his legacy. I think you becoming the party of no set a certain kind of tone, a certain kind of attitude, a certain kind of style of thought that in and of itself is entitled. I think Leader McConnell, you took an entitled approach that America is entitled to ignore the hazards of harming or affecting or impacting the one spacecraft that we have. This planet is a spacecraft. We call it a planet. We have words for it. Fundamentally, this is a lifeboat for human life. Always has been. Not sure if it always will be at this rate. You were born onto this planet when human beings were having an impact on it. They weren't really sure, but the impacts weren't very evident and weren't apparent. In your lifetime, Senator McConnell, you have observed changes in human behaviors. You've seen changes. You've experienced changes in the socio-cultural norms. You continue to abide by a very traditional decorum and mannerism in the halls, the hallowed halls of our federal government. You ascribe to that, and in a way, it's one period in my life I would appreciate being a traditionalist and a conservative. But at this point in my life, with the knowledge that I have and the experiences that I've experienced, I can tell you that what you can't see and you're failing to see, and the Republican Party writ large is failing to see, that at least the Democrats and other progressive-minded individuals, there might be some in the Republican Party too. I haven't found any of them. I sure haven't, unfortunately. In that you have the science in front of you. Your party has received the same science that the public has received. You probably have more science. You probably have more data, more information than the average public does around what's really going on with the well-being of our planet. And for anyone to allow human free markets, a desire for humans to not have government in their business so they can go out and decide for themselves freely what choices to make in their behaviors that then will affect their carbon footprint or the society's carbon footprint writ large. To have been given a forecast in 2018 that we're 12 years away from irreversible climate change. And in the face of that, also with the earthquakes, the fires, the floods, the tsunamis, all of these manifestations of human effect on global warming and climate change, to not, first of all, to spend 30 years denying this, and still have people sitting in a Republican delegation that somehow come up with a way to deny these reports and to deny what's happening to our American, our citizens that are in the path or in the wake of these disasters. To then say, we have the luxury of time implementing a free market approach with less regulation. I think that the point here is, that I fundamentally want to make, is we have 12 years, we have a 12-year period of time where human beings still have a say in what happens with our planet's weather and climate. There's a certain point beyond 12 years where humans will no longer have a choice. My point to you, Senator McConnell, and the rest of the Republicans, and anyone who would poo-poo or chuckle or not take what Representative Ocasio is saying seriously, or what these reports are saying and taking them seriously, the United States of America has about a decade to essentially reboot. Otherwise, we're going to be rebooted, whether we like it or not. So the question here is to embrace Reformation or to resist it when in fact you don't have a choice. When our planet and its weather is affected to the point where we no longer have an effective response, we're no longer having the effect on the environment as much as we thought, and the spaceship itself is starting to affect us. See, we've infected the spacecraft that we're traveling on. We're all space travelers. Yes, Earth, that's what it is. And until we can figure out how to reduce our effect and impact on the one environment that we have that is habitable, we aren't thinking straight. And to not be straight with the American public is a form of deception. And I would say that for that fundamental reason, I've fallen out with the Republican Party. Don't agree with you. don't agree with you. You've got to take this Reformation seriously. The Reformation is a reformatting of sorts. Institutions, ideals, sociocultural norms, everything is shifting because we're confronting our own, the truth of the hostile nature of existence, and the only hospitable environment that we have, we're jeopardizing. At some point, it's not going to be America's way here. At some point, this is the only planet that all of life has to survive on, and we're the leader. We're supposedly the leader of the free world, and I think, Senator McConnell, you've said this in the past. Why aren't we acting like it in this way? Why would you allow the United States of America to remove itself from the Paris Climate Accord? Why would you do that? Because you don't take it seriously. Is it clicking with you that you're still going to be alive in your retirement, watching your legacy be dismembered unless you step forward and act right now? You really need to, and I would encourage you to consider what I'm saying.